celebration, and we appreciate your being here. On behalf of the Tuskegee Historic Preservation Commission, the National Park Service, the City of Tuskegee, and Tuskegee University, we welcome you. Is Shirley out here? Shirley, there she is.
Yes, she
Shirley
is.
She's the right arm of this event.
Yes.
And we thank her so much for her support. All the members of the Historic Preservation Commission, would you raise your hand?
Present.
Members of the Washington and the Adams family, they are our guests of honor.
Thank you.
Yes.
You can't hear which Marshall I am.
Yeah, this is
Marshall
Marshall.
the
This is
third.
Marshall. This is Marshall the third.
I don't. Erica.
Erica. Yes. Any other members of the Washington family?
Where's Brian?
Yeah, we got Brian right there. Sorry, it's ready to go.
Nice to meet you. And we have members of the Adams family. There's Virginia and Patrick and Charles.
Noel J.
Noah. There's Adams, they're back there. Charles Adams, another Charles. And their family. You all come a little closer, please.
Patrick.
Sarah. Yes. If the family people would come a little closer so we can have you here. We want everybody to know you. All right. We would like to start this with a prayer. Reverend K.G. Jones is going to deliver our word prayer.
Let us pray. Eternal God, our Father, we thank you. We thank you for the many blessings that you bestowed upon us. We thank you for bringing us through many dangers, toils, and snares. We thank you, Lord, for this opportunity to pause and to remember Lewis Adams, Booker T. Washington, and their audacity to dream an impossible dream, to build an institution of higher education in the midst of an oasis of racism and segregation. They had the audacity to look beyond their situation to see that with God all things are possible. Lord, we pause to say thank you. To thank you for their faithfulness. To thank you for their vision. Most importantly, to thank you for subsequent generations and future generations who will carry on this vision so that we all may be all that you have created us to be. Lord, continue to bless Tuskegee University. Bless the young people that have matriculated through this place, those who are in the process of matriculating, and those who are yet to come, always reminding them to whom much is given, much is required. Now, Lord, be with us throughout this day and forevermore. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
I know Robin Banks is celebrating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know she is so happy because she and her work with Honorable Ford back 4 years ago were the ones who envisioned this celebration, and we enjoined the younger people to carry it on for years to come. Now, we'd like to welcome Tuskegee University former interim president,
All right
Madam
now.
Morris.
Hey, y'all.
You know?
Thank you very much. Thank you. Since we have one member of our board here, I'm going to ask Evelyn Warren to join me as a member of our Tuskegee University Board of Trustees.
All right now.
To the Washington family, we love you guys. Lewis Adams family, we love you too. As most of you know, last Friday I ended my one-year tenure as president of Tuskegee University. So today, on behalf of our 4-day-old president, Dr. Lily McNair, I want to welcome you to the Tuskegee University campus, to the Tuskegee University Historic Cemetery, and to honor Lewis Adams and Booker T. Washington, two icons in the history of Tuskegee University. It's ironic that we celebrate this occasion with the United States of America in celebrating the freedom of our country. So we are very pleased about that. You know, freedom is not really free. We've got to do what we're supposed to do in order to make that free. And one of the things that we have to do this year, if we don't do it any other year, is to cast our ballot and vote in this election, the state, the local, and the national elections. So that's a part of our freedom, and that's a part of our responsibility. So as we celebrate here, this is one of the things that I know. If Booker T. Washington was standing up here where I am, he would say. So I'm saying that for him today because I know that that was his belief in the freedom of America and the freedom of our people. And we can't be free unless we cast our ballots to vote. So let's remember to do that above all things. But again, we welcome you here. I couldn't pass the opportunity to say that. And a lot of you know why I'm so passionate about voting. So thank you again for coming, the families of our founders. And we appreciate very much all of you participating in this activity. Thank you.
All right now. All right now.
And Representative Warren. Now we have greetings from the city of Tuskegee. Council Lady Alla Whitehead represents the city of Tuskegee.
Good morning, good morning.
Morning.
It's a privilege and an honor to be up here this morning on behalf of our mayor, city council. Come on, Miss Shirley Curry, come on up. So one of our council members, Miss Shirley Curry, on behalf of our mayor, city council members, and all of the officers and officials of the city, we welcome you here today. It's an honor for such occasion to be held here in Tuskegee. We're so proud of our history. We thank God for Booker T. Washington, for Lewis Adams, for bringing this university into fruition. And also we're thankful because it was started at my church, Butler Chapel African Methodist Episcopal Zion Church, where Reverend James H. Taylor is president and pastor. We just say praise God, and we just thank all of you for being here, and we hope this will be a great occasion. Ms. Shirley, you'd like to say something?
Well, I would like to say I am honored to participate in this celebration and being a graduate of this great university.
All right now.
I am honored.
All right now.
The vision and work of Lewis Adams and the work of our builder, Booker T. Washington, set the stage for me to come and get prepared to start my legacy, because this is where I also met my husband, who is a graduate of Tuskegee University, and my daughter, who is a graduate of Tuskegee University. So I am particularly excited about Mother Tuskegee. And I don't want to get to talking, but I'll be all day. I am honored and plan to participate in this celebration as long as I'm around and it's around. Thank you.
Also, I want you to know the 4th of July is my anniversary.
Mine too. Ella, I married Demetrius Wiles 26 years ago today.
That's
Thank
awesome.
you so much, Council Ladies. Now, we have a representative of the Booker T. Washington family, Mr. Marshall Cavendish III, great-great-grandson.
Yes.
Hi there, everybody. So I'm not going to keep you out here for a long time. Everyone says some great things. I do want to say that on behalf of the Booker T. Washington family, we welcome you all. And in addition to seconding everything that Ms. Robinson said and all the acknowledgments, I did want to say a special thanks to Ms. Diane Robinson, the Historic Preservation Commission, and everyone, including Mayor Ford and Reverend Leonard. Also, I want to say a special thanks to Shirley Baxter and the National Park Service for helping to put this together. And of course, my great special friend here, Mr. Patrick Wallace. And so when we were at the Lewis Adams gravesite, Patrick gave some great history, so I'm not going to go into a lot of history, but Mayor Ford did mention some things that in a way echoed some of the things I mentioned last year, and that's the community piece. And I think that, people ask me, what's the purpose of doing this when you already do Founders Day? Founders Day is a great event. I love the fact that we do that every year and come together. Everybody has their agenda. Everybody has their different reasons for it being significant, this particular event. But for me, it is about the community. It is getting back to the grassroots thing. It is connecting with each other once again. And also, hopefully in the future, we can also expound not only on on the history, but really what the vision truly was in terms of what education really meant to Booker T. Washington and Mr. Lewis Adams. And that it was about the common people. It was about everybody. But it was about common needs when Booker T. Washington and Lewis Adams went door to door finding out what the community needed. It became really a model for what the country needed. It became what he perceived 90% of the people in this country, African Americans, needed. And that's what they built the vision based on. And trust me, Booker T. Washington was never an opponent of higher education. However, in addition to higher education, there are certain skill sets that we need. I was listening to a podcast the other day on PBS NewsHour, and they were talking about the challenges people are having after college, getting into school, getting into jobs. And they mentioned soft skills. This type of thing Booker T. Washington was talking about: propriety, courtesy, value systems, work ethics. These are the things that no matter where you go in life and what you decide to do, is what Booker T. Washington wanted to make sure that people had. And I hope that moving forward, we can, talk more about that. But again, appreciate you all being here. Welcome. Thank you so much.
All right now. And we have Ms. Erica. Would you like
No, come on.
Marshall has covered everything that this family needs.
Ditto, right?
All right, the family is represented very well by you, and we thank you so much. Thank you for your words. Now we would like Dr. Elaine Harrington, who so eloquently represents the Tuskegee University alumni, will give the historical significance. She's also a member of the Historic Preservation Commission. Dr. Harrington.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and to all who have gathered here today. The 4th of July is most often celebrated as Independence Day and the founding of America as a free nation. However, we of the famed, and I say famed, institution of Tuskegee, and I'm proud to be an alumni, commemorate its founding on July 4th, 1881. Earlier, you heard at the gravesite of our founder, Lewis Adams, you heard some information about him. And you need to know that Lewis Adams was the founder of Tuskegee. Booker T. Washington was the founding principal. So we need to keep that in mind. Lewis Adams had no formal education, but he knew that reading, writing, and being able to think was the need for his people. And of course, he was recognized as a very prominent citizen here in Macon County. And it's so good to see the family continuing the legacy of Lewis Adams. A candidate, and by the way, I heard Dr. Morris say, there is a political aspect to the founding of Tuskegee. You need to keep that in mind, because W.F. Foster, a white candidate for the state senate, asked Adams what he would like in return for securing the black vote. And Adams asked that an educational institution for blacks be established. And of course, you know the rest of how the votes were delivered, and then the reciprocal was honored. So it was a political move. And ladies and gentlemen, it's still a political move.
Yeah.
Let me also say that on February 10th, 1881, the Alabama legislature approved an act to authorize the normal school for colored teachers at Tuskegee. In June of that year, Booker Taliaferro Washington accepted the offer as principal of the normal school. It was officially founded this day, July 4th, 1881, with Booker T. Washington, 25-year-old. Do we have any 25-year-old men around? He was only 25 years old when he was a teacher, by the way, at Hampton Institute in Virginia, and he became the founding principal. This position, of course, he held until his death in 1915 at the age of 59. The school began, as most of you know, in a tiny space over by Butler Chapel, Councilwoman, over by Butler Chapel AME Zion Church. Tuskegee, in 1893, it was noted that the Alabama legislature, again political, the Alabama legislature approved an act incorporating the Tuskegee Normal and Industrial Institute. Tuskegee later became, after it went through several stages, later became Tuskegee University in 1985. T.U.
You know!
Today, it is recognized and recorded as one of the largest HBCUs, that is, historically black colleges and universities, in the United States. Tuskegee was the first black college to be designated as a registered National Historical Landmark in 1966. It is the only black college to be designated as a National Historic Site. Shirley, we appreciate all that you do. Of course, no historical recapitulation would be possible without remembering and mentioning Dr. Carver's invitation to George Washington Carver, who came as the head of the Department of Agriculture. But finally, I want to focus on Booker T, the founding principal, Booker T. Washington. I became so fascinated with the words of Dr. John Teresa Robinson, who wrote, Willing Washington. And let me tell you what some of the things, I'm not going to tell you everything she said about Dr. Washington. She said, willing to do and aspire for the impossible. Willing to work through school. Willing to walk to school. Willing to sustain criticism from his compromising beliefs. Willing to lift up someone. You know what he said. Lifting the veil of ignorance. Willing to lift us up. Willing to do work with others. You can say what you want, but Booker T. Washington had a cooperative spirit also. Willing to fight for what he thought was right. Willing to ask for and connect with the best. Willing to reteach everyone to feed their minds and bodies. He was a political advisor. He was a therapist. You might not see him in a therapy magazine, but he was a therapist. And of course, he was an educator and a moral leader. And finally, willing to remain the head of Tuskegee Institute, now University, until his death in November. Thus, we gather at the gravesite of Tuskegee's founding principal on this, the 137th birthday of Tuskegee Normal School Institute University. Anybody here 100 years old yet? Do we have any 100s? All right. I want you to join me then in saying happy birthday to Tuskegee, pride of the swift growing South. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you, Tuskegee. Happy birthday, Tuskegee. Happy birthday to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Harrington. And I must add one thing to the history. Buried on these grounds are the 3 wives of Booker T. Washington, without whom he would not have been able to do his marvelous work. Right over there is Margaret Murray Washington, and all the way at the end, there's Fannie Norton and Olivia Davidson, buried right at the end. Those 3 ladies also helped make Tuskegee University possible.
Right now.
Now, we are to place the wreath. The Park Service is going to do that honor.
All right.
It's April. Yes. And we also have a wreath from the Tuskegee Police Department. City of Tuskegee. The City of Tuskegee, placed by a City of Tuskegee Police. Thank you. Assistant Chief Jenkins. Thank you. Now we would like for the family, please, to gather here, the families, the Adams family and the Washington family, and our, we also like our program participants. Now, while they gather, once they get there, we're
get
going
behind
to
the wreath.
sing. Right. Can you be making your way up, family? Now, I would like to thank Mr. Glenn Persons, who has lent his beautiful voice to sing, lift every voice and sing at Louis Adams' grave, and now he's going to lead us, and we shall overcome. We all know those words. Mr. Persons.
Yeah, give from
We shall
Give from behind
overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome today. We'll walk hand in hand. We'll walk hand in hand. We'll walk hand in hand. We'll walk hand in hand today. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall hand in hand today. I'm going to add a verse. The Lord will see us through. The Lord will see us through. The Lord will see us through. The Lord will see us through today. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe the Lord
And we hope to see all of you here. Yes.
Before we leave, I'd just like to mention and ask everyone if you would bow heads for just a brief prayer, brief moment of silent prayer. The Reverend Dr. James Massey, stalwart leader of this great community, who served 2 terms, has gone on for his reward. I want you to go on the Facebook online and read all of the accomplishments of this great leader, along with Booker Washington and Lewis Adams. This man, number one, was a great theologian and talked about Booker T. Washington, Lewis Adams, and everything from that pulpit, as well as wrote many books and authored many books, including the Bible's interpretation, all the way through. He did I don't know how many different books that he wrote, but I want you to go online and think about him for just a moment. Bow our heads for a silent prayer for the Reverend James Massey, who did 2 terms here, and whenever he was called on, he came back to Tuskegee University.
He's being funeralized this weekend.
Dr. Being funeralized this weekend. Yes. Where, Dr. Arrington?
In Detroit.
In Detroit,
Michigan. Yes.
And he came here, and you believe it, 100 years after Booker T. Washington.
Yes.
He came here in 1981 and was my mentor for those many years. So we ask you to just bow your heads just for a minute. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Leonard. Now we'd like to invite you all, after we take this big, nice picture, over to the Oaks for a reception. We want to treat you, and you may also tour the Oaks at that time if you haven't done it already. But please come over. Everybody is welcome. Thank you.
Let's give the Park Service for opening up the Oaks again. Give it up. Yeah. Take our president, Dr. Diane Robinson, who's president of the
Everybody smile pretty.
Okay.
I can't